Sometimes a therapist, I mean, not exactly a therapist because I don't need a therapist. I mean, I'm the greatest of them all, so I actually never need a therapist. I mean, let's just not get into that thing. But sometimes a therapist, sometimes a very close friend. I mean, she's a very close friend. I mean, she's a close friend all the time, but like, yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes the reason why my life is a living hell. On the podcast today, I have my very close friend, Miss Saanvi Bhattacharya. And before getting into the episode, I just want to say one thing. Saanvi, tu chotia hai. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Bye. Just listen to the episode. It's quite entertaining, but it is infotaining at the same time as well. So yeah, bye-bye. So getting right into the episode, I have my friend Saanvi Bhattacharya on the podcast today. And well, Saanvi, just introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi guys, I'm Saanvi Bhattacharya. I am 17. I love dancing. I am totally crazy about dogs. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So Saanvi, why don't you just give kind of a past story about yourself? Jo school mein, like how did you and I meet and stuff? How do you and I know each other?
Okay, so I met Varad back when I was in 7th grade. I newly joined Plurich, and pehla time pe we weren't having that much of interaction. And I remember annual concert ka time chal raha tha, and the first sentence that he said to me was, "Tu Mia Khalifa jaisi dikhti hai." And in my head I was just like, isse dur rehna hai, because obviously. But then later on we became friends. 8th mein we were also in same class. Yeah. And then uske baad we started becoming friends. I spoke with him and we had some sort of interaction. But then uske baad he ignored me for a year because Bharat was being typical Bharat. And literally an entire year. And after a year he was like, okay, so now I'll stop ignoring you since I feel bad about it. So yeah, and then we started talking again and we're somehow still friends.
I mean, I was just being me. Let's just not talk about it right now. Anyways, moving on to the next segment of the podcast. I want to know about your COVID life, the immediate changes that took place.
Immediate thing I'll say is, I think I was not ready to like sit at home for 2 years because COVID ke pehle I was like very socializing. Even if I don't have that many friends, I used to interact with everybody. But then COVID ke baad, all my friendships started breaking up. And I became confined to my room. There was not much conversation. It's not even like I made, friends. या फिर online में I texted somebody. And जो थे वो भी अभी फिर उनका भी cut off हो गया था. So I think the immediate change would be like I became very introverted as a person. And उसके अलावा obviously the family drama that goes on if you're like confined to your room for so long and everybody's like staying in the house the same time and everybody's just tired of each other. So I think home-wise it was the usual, your parents are screaming at each other, you're getting no work done, your sleep schedule totally fucks up. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There was no productivity, there was everything that was just still for a very long time. So I think that would be like the immediate effect that COVID had on my life.
Okay. So one thing, COVID life mein, when did you become introvert, dude? I don't remember you being an introvert in COVID life.
Because, see, I'm not a very good texter. Like, मैं literally okay, हाँ चलता है मेरा text language.
I know that.
Exactly. So I don't know how am I supposed to have a conversation no matter how close I am to that person on a text. तो उसके बाद से you used to either call people, फिर call पे also you, obviously there's a particular limit you can talk. And then उसके बाद I was just like, it's too much मेहनत. Why am I even like it's okay, they're still my friends, they're gonna be my friends. COVID खत्म हो जाएगा, अपना काम करते type. So
I mean, yeah, that's not a wrong way to think about things. Yeah, kind of makes sense. But I remember this thing that you used to text like कितना if like मैं अगर तेरे को 2 घंटे बाद में text करूँगा, suppose like तूने मेरे को एक message भेजा है अभी for example 10 बजा रहेगा and मैं तेरे को 2 या 3 घंटे बाद में reply करूँगा तो you will literally immediately reply to me.
Yeah, because I was always online because मेरी life में कुछ करने को नहीं था. So I used to literally watch reels or like watch Netflix. The amount of Netflix I watched in 2 years. I used to binge watch. So it's not like मैं online नहीं रहती थी, मैं बहुत online रहती थी. It's like if you text me, I'll reply immediately, but I will not initiate a conversation because वो मेरे nature में है ही नहीं, मेरे को text करना नहीं आता है. And then if it's all like to the point conversation. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, oh how are you doing, what's up types नहीं होता मेरे से.
वो अजीब रहता भाई. मेरे से भी नहीं होता. I mean, that is the very reason why I actually don't text you. Because I anyways don't text people that much. And texting to is a weird thing for me. Either meet offline or like call be is a weird.
Call people and be like, I'm coming to your house.
Yeah, I mean
I know.
it's me all the time. Like yo, मैं आ रहा हूँ, free है नहीं है, मेरे को फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, मैं आ रहा हूँ,
Yeah, I
आ रहा
know.
हूँ. I mean, meeting someone offline is way better than talking to them on text. Text where it just gets weird. And I think this experience of getting weirded out on a text conversation is like मैंने सबसे ज़्यादा तेरे साथ ही मेरा हुआ है. Like, you know, at one point of time, so basically if I want to text Saanvi, if to whether or not she's online or not, ये check करने के लिए what I used to do, I used to post a story and then देखा अगर सानवी ने देखा है इसका मतलब she's online. That is what I used to do. And if I want to trouble her तो मैं I'll put some random stuff like जो भी मैं स्कूल में भी करता था ऐसे randomly I used to come to you and बोलता था सानवी तू चूतिया करके ऐसे.
He used to hit me on my head and then run away.
Ew.
Oh, once he slapped me like really hard in the middle of the corridor on accident, obviously. But regression? No. No regret.
Wait a second, wait a minute. I mean,
It's true, you can't even say no.
I mean, I know, like, I was in that 8th standard corridor, and the thing with me was in the school premises, I was like a guy who was in his entire, like, I was in my zone, and you were with your group or something, and
Group क्या अकेले चल रही थी? Annual concert चल रहा था.
8th का चीज़ है बहन, मेरे को अच्छे से याद है, 7th में नहीं हुआ था.
हाँ, 8th का ही होंगे.
हाँ तो 8th ठीक है, कुछ तो था मेरे को.
You were basically running and not running. You were like
Flying.
flying in the corridor. I don't know what that is. Apparently, guys do it.
Flying basically is like just randomly jumping around with the.
hands and jumping in the corridor.
See, okay. My thing was मैं मेरी दुनिया में घूमता था. I was in my zone. I used to like मेरे को समझ भी नहीं आता कि बाहर क्या चल रहा है. अब मेरे को realize नहीं हुआ इसका height बहुत छोटा है मेरे को, तो ये non existent height था इसका, तो मैं बोला कि अब मेरे को दिखा नहीं. मैं उड़ के गया, एक हाथ ऐसे दोनों मेरे ऊपर थे, and apparently she just turned her head at the very moment मेरा हाथ उसके थोबड़े पे लगा, and well मेरे को लगा कि ये लड़की रोना चालू करेगी, और मेरे ऑलरेडी स्कूल में लड़कियों को मारने वाला चीज़ वो बहुत अजीब सा था, तो मैं डर गया भाई, पर मेरा छोड़ में निकल गया वहाँ से. एनीवेज, बट मेरा गलती नहीं था तेरे को घूमना नहीं.
अरे मेरी गलती थोड़ी ना थी उसमें. फिर तू अपना कॉरिडोर के बीच में अपने दुनिया में घूम रहा है, उसमें क्या करूं मैं?
मेरा गलती है क्या भाई? मेरा दुनिया मेरे लिए ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा कि तेरे को थोबड़े पे लग रहा है कि नहीं, वो सब.
Clearly, classic was.
Yeah, anyways. Moving on to the next segment. So I want to know about your mentality shift, like pre-lockdown mentality and post-lockdown. What are the things that you have kind of experienced, and how has it, I mean, affected you in a good way or in a bad way?
So before COVID, I was a very not so carefree person. I used to think like 4 times, like अगर मैं ये करूँगी तो लोग क्या सोचेंगे types. And I was very concerned about what people had, like what image I had about them and what they had about me. So it was like always a conscious effort, you know, कि अगर ये करना है स्कूल में तो फिर लोग क्या बोलेंगे and all. And COVID में obviously there was no sense of activity or productivity, so it became more verbal कि अगर मैं कुछ ये बोलूँ तो लोग कैसे लेंगे and all that, and people were like trying to be so cringe at that point of time. And if you follow it, it's just be like, okay, she's just being cringe too. And if you don't, then it just be like, okay, she's just doing her own shit. She doesn't care about other people and all that. So I think the major shift that happened was after COVID hit, I was just like, okay, I gotta do my own thing. No matter what I say, I will offend somebody or the other. So uske pehle, I used to be very conscious about everything, and basically a typical teenager who wants to be worried about what everybody thinks, and you know, to be cool and impress people. But uske baad, it became more like, do your own thing. Your friends are gonna be your friends types.
I mean, I think this has happened with everyone. Like, there's a third person in this room as well. I mean, he's not going to say anything in this episode. But yeah, the third person, उसने भी ये सब चीज़ें I think काफ़ी बार की है स्कूल में. So yeah, I mean, it happens a lot, a normal thing. Anyways, so like, what is the good thing that has happened to you because of that, you know, shift? Like, मतलब focusing on yourself is a good thing, obviously, but then what is that one thing that might have happened which is a very good thing that you are not regretting right now, or maybe you are thanking yourself maybe कि, you know, कि ये हुआ and it is a good thing, इसकी वजह से हुआ, तो what may be that one thing, or maybe multiple things, I don't know.
One good thing I would say is I became kind of blunt. Like if I don't like certain things people do, I just be like, okay, you're just trying to be too cliche, you're just trying to like impress somebody else, or you're trying to do this. Uske pehle I used to be like, okay, I should be nice to the person and like think what the other person would think. I would be too conscious about it. But uske baad I started like telling people whatever I genuinely felt rather than sugarcoating everything.
So just giving truth
Yeah, like if I think you're doing something that's hurtful and mean, then I would say it. But uske wajah se again, the bad thing that happened was then people took me as a very rude person or whatever, and they were just like, oh, ye to hamesha, you know, she has everything negative to say, and that way I lost like a lot of people in the lockdown. Yeah, because you know when you try to be honest, nobody takes it in a positive spirit. They be like, okay, she just thinks bad about me or whatever.
Wow, I have so much experience in that particular area. I mean, can't just. Oh, way too many memories, man. Okay. So what was okay? This was a good thing, but then like, what was a bad thing? I mean, is it that you broke off with a lot of people, or is there anything that happened other than that?
Obviously, the breaking up with a lot of people was there because uske pehle I was friends with these people for like years. But then I think other bad thing would be that I think sometimes you get like too involved with yourself. Like obviously it's a good thing that you know what you think and you know what you want, but sometimes it's just also beneficial that you think that you know it's like if in real world you cannot always be truthful. You have to like you know, to get somewhere you have to like
Sometimes you need
exactly you need to sugar not even sugarcoat things, just not say anything. I think that I didn't realize early on, so I was like, हाँ मेरे को जो बोलना है मैं वो बोलूँगी. And the bad thing was that you know sometimes I had to be nice, or I should have been nice in order to just like you know have that kind of connection or something, but I chose not to be. So yeah, उसकी वजह से I think the lot of negativity spread around, and I'm always known as the person who's just like has 40 different best friends or like 40 different guys I roam around with, because I barely have one girlfriend. So it's always like, हाँ वो इसकी it's
Okay, so moving on to the next segment. So this is basically connected to that segment as well. So what is your current character? Like what character forged off from those things? Like जो अभी you said about, मतलब जो भी तूने अभी बोला, उसमें से what do you think is, what is your thought process right now basically? Okay, so moving on to the next segment. So this is basically connected to that segment as well. So what is your current character? Like what character forged off from those things? Like जो अभी you said about, मतलब जो भी तूने अभी बोला, उसमें से what do you think is, what is your thought process right now basically?
obviously the breaking up with a lot of people was there because uske pehle I was friends with these people for like years. But then I think other bad thing would be that I think sometimes you get like too involved with yourself. Like obviously it's a good thing that you know what you think and you know what you want, but sometimes it's just also beneficial that you think that you know it's like if in real world you cannot always be truthful. You have to like you know, to get somewhere you have to like
Sometimes you
exactly you need to sugar not even sugarcoat things, just not say anything. I think that I didn't realize early on, so I was like, हाँ मेरे को जो बोलना है मैं वो बोलूँगी. And the bad thing was that you know sometimes I had to be nice, or I should have been nice in order to just like you know have that kind of connection or something, but I chose not to be. So yeah, उसकी वजह से I think the lot of negativity spread around, and I'm always known as the person who's just like has 40 different best friends or like 40 different guys I roam around with, because I barely have one girlfriend. So it's always like, हाँ वो इसकी she's like not loyal to people. She always keeps on jumping from one person to another person, and it's you know get slut shamed and all that. Okay, she's not like committed enough. She does not want one friend. She wants to be popular. She's trying too hard and all that. So I think because of that kind of image came across. But I'm a very nice person, I believe. So yeah.
I have. Wait. I don't. Wait. So many. I have never heard this image about you. मतलब,
Yeah, because see, I have shifted schools a lot because my dad gets transferred. So that way, that is how I became socialized. Like I became an extrovert as a person because मैं इतना shift करती थी. So I knew like you know you have to make friends and all that. So I had a lot like even in like 3 years of Blue Ridge. Pehle I was with some other person who was my friend, and then whatever happened that broke off, and then I was friends with somebody else, and then that broke off in the COVID, and then you know that all happened. So people, it's not just like friendship wise and relationship wise also I've had quite many experiences. So people always assume that you know it's her fault, she's just doing time pass, ऐसा कुछ है नहीं serious नहीं, and she does not know how to like sustain a relation or a friendship. So that I get a lot. But then obviously I realize that obviously I'll keep getting it, but I just have to do my own thing.
But I actually never knew kaisa tha. I mean, see, like, so okay, so there's one thing about you. So if whenever someone's referring to Saanvi Bhattacharya, specifically Saanvi Bhattacharya, it's like, hey, oh, she's a very nice person, mate. She's like a very good person to talk to, a very down to earth person. I was like, yo, okay, this is way too many good words for her. I can't. मतलब handle. Yeah, I mean, जरा ज़्यादा हो गया भाई, इतना नहीं होना चाहिए. But I mean, yeah, these are the things that I have heard about you. Oh, the entire thing that you told me right now is something I never actually knew.
I think not a lot of people say it to your face, you know. They obviously nobody will come to you and be like that. It's just like the vibe you get when you like interact with somebody else, or you get to know from a third person कि ये बोला जा रहा था. So.
Moving on to the next segment of the podcast, what are the mistakes that you have committed in your life and you kind of regret? But like you regret committing them, but then jo outcome that happened, like the way you think towards those things right now is like, I don't know.
I know it might come a very bitchy kind of vibe, but I, to be honest, don't think I regret anything as such. Obviously, mistakes किए हैं, बड़े छोटे. I can't recall them at the moment because I feel like mistakes for me is like a normal thing. I don't tag them as mistakes, and like obviously finger crossed, I don't have any sort of regrets in life because obviously उस समय I regretted certain things when certain things were happening, like okay ये हो गया अब मेरे को बुरा लग रहा है उसके बारे में, I shouldn't have done that, but always in the longer run it turned out to be pretty good for me. Like I reasoned with myself, or I found like okay ठीक है जो भी वो अच्छे की हो. I believe in the whole whatever happens for the good wala concept. So obviously like any other person, I've made mistakes, I've said things I shouldn't have said, and I've done things I shouldn't have done, but at the end I was satisfied with myself because at that moment मेरी जो maturity थी उसके हिसाब से I did my best. So however things turned out, उस समय I must have felt bad about it, or I if I feel bad about something, or if I think I did something wrong, I always try to like mend my ways. But if it works out, then it works out. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But at least I am satisfied with the fact that I tried. So that's my whole logic, that okay, I'll do what I think is right. If later on my mentality changes in certain way, I will try to correct myself, I will try my best. But obviously it's not only your effort, it's like a two-way street. So at uske baad if still doesn't work out, then I am satisfied कि चलो मैंने जो कर सकती थी try किया. So that's what I believe in. So no regrets as such.
Okay, so moving on to the next segment. So this is basically connected to that segment as well. So what is your current character? Like what character forged off from those things? Like जो अभी you said about, मतलब जो भी तूने अभी बोला, उसमें से what do you think what is your thought process right now basically?
My thought process, as I said, I believe in do what is best for you. Also, I'm a very sensitive person. I feel like somebody कुछ बुरा बोलता है तो मेरे को बहुत लगती है. And I overthink a lot about a lot of things. So that way it made me more like, ठीक है, you should sometimes think from the other person's point of view. Empathy होनी चाहिए. And so I always have that in mind. It's not like if I'm thinking about myself, I'm being selfish. I am like trying to do what's best for the other person before I do what's best for me. I feel like that's like one of the things I shouldn't probably be doing, because if I genuinely want a person in my life, or if I like a person, yeah, तुम मेरे लिए important हो, then I do everything. Like if somebody wants to do something that I totally would not want to do, I will still do it for their happiness. But at the end, if obviously it shouldn't cross a line, and uske baad when you know that you have to prioritize yourself, but uske baad because it'll be no good, then I do that. So that way I feel like I am pretty much like I do what I want to do, but at the same time I'm not insensitive towards others ki, you know, isko kya, like I should just not care about this person and do whatever the hell I want to do. So yeah, that would be one. And otherwise I feel like I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but I don't interact as much anymore. Like after lockdown ended and everything, I did become like, I did make more friends and I did like move on with everything. But still now also like I changed school, I'm in a new school entirely. It's been almost more than a year, but I don't have like any new friends. I only have friends from like previous school and ek do banaye honge. So it's not like, I feel like now I've become a person who wants very close circle, very few people, very trustworthy, if not trustworthy, at least somebody, you know, I can have a normal conversation with who won't judge me. So basically that's all. I mean, feel like itna saal you've been so much judged on so many different things that at the end you just want like, you know, few people who you can like genuinely like have a conversation with and not feel judged. So I feel like now I'm a person who like limit myself to myself, have a very close circles. I have my priorities set on what to do, like education wise. So I'm trying my best to like do that and make my parents proud and all.
So yeah, one of the things you talked about right now was overthinking. I want you to shed some light on overthinking right now. Okay, what happened? Like, what triggered you to overthink a lot? Like the one thing that might have happened in your life.
Okay, so I wouldn't share what exactly happened, but I was in sixth grade and I went through this incident, and I did not know what exactly was going on, so I went to the Google and I researched it thoroughly, okay, because I was concerned about myself. So I was like, okay, wait, what is this supposed to mean and all that. I think uske baad, that was more like a technical overthinking that came out of like an experience, but uske baad I started like overthinking on every minute thing. Like, you know, if a person comes to you and be like, oh, you're just different nowadays, so I like overthink on that for like at least 2 days. Like, what do you mean? Like, maine kya kiya hai, or how am I different, or is it a good thing or a bad thing, or what, like, should I try to change myself back, or am I different from what I was pehle? So this is like the thing I think about, and it's like a continuous process. It's not like, theek hai, you come to a conclusion to your overthinking ki haan, this is what I decide, this is what I want to do. It's like a continuous thing. And if you like tell that to somebody else and you get a different perspective, then you start overthinking about that कि मैंने ऐसा क्यों नहीं सोचा, अब इसको सोचने के बाद मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ and all that. So I feel like overthinking is like a continuous cycle, and I personally don't know how to break it because I still do it, and I still do it a lot.
I mean, I can literally see you overthinking right
yeah,
now.
exactly. I'm overthinking about what I should say that will come out as a very me thing, you know. So that's the thing. It's like an everyday process for me now. It's a part of my life. I overthink what I want to eat for lunch. It's complicated.
Wait,
yeah, I genuinely, I'll be like, if I have dal chawal today, then tomorrow if I feel like having dal chawal, then I won't be able to have it. Mummy ko bolna padega. What if my mom get annoyed making dal chawal? Will I be able to make dal chawal for myself? This is my level of overthinking, but not on dal chawal, but on everything in my life. That's why sometimes I feel like my overthinking creates this weird ass scenarios in my head, and then I tell it to people. Obviously, I don't be like, oh, मैंने ये सोचा इसलिए मैं ये कर रही हूँ. I just do what is the outcome of my overthinking, and then people think, oh my god, she's just weird. Why is she doing that? ये कहाँ से आ रहा है? And that is why so many people like cut off with you, because then they think I'm changing constantly, but it's just my mind which is doing its own shit.
I mean, I myself have overthinked over a lot of things, but then going to that extent कि आज दाल चावल खा और कल नहीं खा पाऊंगा, ये जरा, this is crazy, dude. I have नहीं, इतना मेरे से कभी हुआ नहीं है भाई, ये जरा ज़्यादा नहीं होगा क्या? I mean, okay, anyways.
This is the exact reason why I have like 2 friends. गिन चुन के, चलो 3 होंगे, but
मेरे को हंसने का बहुत मन कर रहा है. चावल कल खा रही इसलिए मैं आज.
अरे it's a metaphor यार.
भाई ये इतना मैं आज तक कभी भी नहीं देखा है. मतलब मैं सोचता हूँ कि बाहर अगर मैं वो किसी को मार
कभी-कभी when you like say something to me ना, and then I just be like, okay, did that Varad mean it as his Varad joke, or was that something he directed towards my personality, या फिर मैंने कुछ फिर से कर दिया जो मैं 1 साल के लिए ignore होंगी.
ये मेरे को पूछती है ये.
Yeah, and then I try to ask the other person कि ये
what
अगर
does
मेरे को
Varad
कोई
mean by this?
Yeah, like what does this mean? Like if somebody comes to me and says this, how am I supposed to take it?
I mean, you can just confront me directly.
Yeah, I know, but then I'm not the person who will go directly confront you. If I'm mad about something, if there's no overthinking required, if you said something that I know is disrespectful, then I'll confront you.
Okay, Saanvi, tu chutiya hai.
See, this I know you don't mean it because you've said this to me like.
Oh, he means it.
The first time he said
He
it,
means
the
it.
first time he said it, I was like, okay. Then I overthought about it. But the more he kept saying it, then I was like, okay, it's just like, oh, hi Saanvi, good morning. It's like a greeting from Bharat. Exactly. So that is why sometimes you say things which is a total Bharat thing to do, but I just be like, okay, I'm gonna keep quiet. I'm gonna keep quiet.
Bharat calls me a bhadwa after every sentence, and I'm like, go ahead. अरे आज भड़वा नहीं बोला कैसे? भरत की इज्जत मिली.
I mean, okay, थोड़ा serious होते हैं. Overthinking पे, so what do you think is the way to get out of it? I mean, maybe you can't get out of it, but what do you think? You overthinking, the thing is, right? You think about getting out of it, and you overthink over it a lot, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, what मतलब तूने overthink क्या किया उसके बारे में? Just थोड़ा सा.
I don't know if if there's an actual way to like not overthink, because मैंने तो कभी नहीं किया ऐसा.
I mean, it's obviously not such a way, but मतलब,
I feel like I think about overthinking. So what I think about overthinking is that after a point you have to like shut your brain. You have to like I personally get myself to do something else. I'll be like, okay, ज़्यादा सोच रहे. Yeah, I sleep. Exactly. I sleep. I get myself to cry for half an hour. Crying is a good therapy. Let me tell you. People be like, no, you shouldn't cry and all that.
You should not. I mean, I'm a toxic male.
I'm a very emotional person. My every sort of emotion comes out in tears. My anger, my happiness also, I'll cry. If I'm sad, I'll cry.
जब तेरा vocal cord हिलता ना समझ में आता है कि अभी रोई थी यार.
हाँ, exactly. So the people who know me knows when I'm gonna cry, because then I just be like quiet. I literally go dead silent and I be like, okay, ठीक है. So I feel like ठीक है. To break it, you have to get yourself to do something else. Or what I personally do a lot of times is I get myself to cry about shit to get out of my system. Like, okay, if I'm overthinking about something that somebody else said, I'll be like, हाँ ठीक है, रो लेते हैं. Obviously उस समय मैं ये नहीं सोच रही कि रो लेते हैं. उस समय रो, like you obviously cry ऐसे instinctively. But yeah, so I cry and I'm like, ठीक है, रो लिया. अब let's get something else done. Like we'll keep that. I don't like not think about it, but I keep it up a hold. And sometimes when I keep things for hold, इतना सारा चीज pile up हो जाता है कि you forget.
मतलब वो pile up होने के बाद मतलब frustrating नहीं होगा?
It is frustrating, but the thing with me is ना मेरा इतने सारी चीजें pile up हो जाते हैं that I forget about it. And like not everything, but certain things about. Okay, I forget certain things about it. Like हाँ ये भी overthink करना था types. तो उसके बाद वो कभी आता ही नहीं till the time somebody else says something related to that, like it triggers it all. So इसलिए I obviously keeping it aside is unhealthy on certain matters, because then you can keep it aside, but back of the mind subconsciously वो है. So it interacts with your activities, but for me personally, after I keep it aside, I don't know if it's a defense mechanism or how my brain works, but I stop thinking about it for some time and then I forget about it entirely for at least a little while. So isliye I just like I get myself, basic thing I do is I get myself to do something else, like cook something, watch a Netflix series, or like do something that's gonna engage my brain, like because even if I'm watching Netflix, I'd make up some alternative theories about shit.
That is it's a normal thing to do.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like overthinking नहीं करना तो किसी चीज के बारे में मत सोचो.
I have watched way too much Batman to it, so that is a innate thing for me.
I don't get the hype of DC and Marvel. I know people are gonna come after me for this.
I mean, okay, हम लोग DC Marvel पे नहीं जा रहे. Batman is a it is a complete.
Yeah,
it is a fucking.
For you, I get it.
No, it's a way to think. That's a mentality. Anyways.
I feel like Bharat's personality is Batman.
Definitely, dude. I wear everything's black, dude. There's a reason for it.
Your clothing's also affected by Batman.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to the last segment of the podcast. What is your current mental health improvement?
Improvement? I feel like there's no such thing as improvement. It's just evolving out of it. Like, I don't think the exact way I used to think pehle. It's not like I think better. I just think different. Like, earlier if I used to think ki, left is left, right is right. Now it's more like both is direction. Whatever. Like, tumko left jana hai, left jao, right jana hai, right jao. So, my mentality in a way is now ki...
Isn't that improvement as well? I mean, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Some people see that as improvement, that you're just like, not having a direct view about something or not being rigid about something. But I personally don't believe in the whole concept of improvement. You're right and wrong. I like people give me like
right and wrong is a different thing, but improvement is a constant thing. It just happens. You giving it a term called evolution, but at the end of the day, it's just improvement.
That's the thing. You think that, and I think.
Let's not overthink over it right now. I mean.
Like, I think it's just different now. Like, okay, पहले मैं ये सोचती थी, अब मैं ये सोचती हूँ, ये अलग है, better है या बुरा है, मैं नहीं सोचने वाली हूँ, कुछ फिर वो overthinking हो जाएगा.
मैं अभी कुछ बोलने में नहीं आ रहा क्योंकि फिर वो debate हो जाएगा.
So yeah, then I just be like, ठीक है, there's no such thing as improvement, but I am definitely a very, very, very different person from where I was before the COVID or during the COVID. And I'm happy with the people I'm around, I'm happy with myself, I'm happy with how I am with my studies and my family, and I know people still have a lot of shit to say, and that they will constantly, but I feel like as long as I'm happy and satisfied, I shouldn't care about what others think. So if that's improvement in your term, then that's how I'm different.
Nothing wrong with it. Anyways, lastly, one piece of advice, जिसके ऊपर we discussed before recording. What is that one piece of advice? Maybe the thing that you said right now might be a piece of advice, or anything other than that.
Firstly, don't overthink. Like it's not like okay, I will overthink this and then stop.
Trigger of overthinking.
Yeah, like stop. Like don't like be like हाँ मैं overthink करूँगी फिर नहीं करना है. शुरू ही मत करो because there's no नहीं करना है of overthinking. It's like a continuous thing. So firstly, don't overthink. Don't even start thinking. Forget about overthinking. सोचो ही मत.
Overthinking right now.
And then second thing will be empathetic. You know, people don't have a lot of things to look forward in life, and if you can just be nice to one person, it wouldn't kill you, respectfully. So be nice, and at the end, just don't be that nice that people take advantage of you, because a lot of times you'll learn through experience or however, but people take advantage of your niceness. So be nice to the people who genuinely deserve it. Obviously, you shouldn't be the judge of who deserves it, but who you think requires it. And obviously, put yourself above others. I know it's a very hypocritical thing for me to say since I don't do it, but it is like something I'm working towards. So should you. That put yourself above others, but don't be so self-absorbed that you come out as a very bitchy person.